nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Mary.
Dr. Dave Bardo,
Here.
Trina Bordeman,
Here.
Dr. Noel Deep, Jill Maddock Nelson,
Here.
Kristen Matt Miller,
Here.
Andy Mary, Danny Pyatt,
Here.
Angie Schreiber,
Here.
JD Schrader,
I'm on the phone.
Okay, all are present except for Dr. Deep. I just want to remind the room of the decorum of the room. Whenever you are anticipating to speak, you need to be at the microphone that's up in the front so everybody can hear you as well as those watching the live feed. According to Robert's Rules of Order, in order to speak, you need to be recognized by the chair. So please wait for the recognition before you start speaking. And any questions about that? Very good. Okay, public comment. Public participation shall be permitted before the board takes official action on any issue of substance. The attendees must register their intention to participate in the public portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting. Participants will be recognized by the presiding officer and will be requested to preface their comments by an announcement of their name. Each statement is to be made by the participant, limited to 5 minutes of duration, and Dr. Sprague will be the timekeeper of that 5 minutes. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic unless all others who wish to speak on the topic have been heard. Okay, having said that, okay. We have Carol Bardo.
Good evening, I'm Carol Bardo. Is that better?
You might have to pull it close. There you go.
On May 10th, at the school board Cal meeting, I submitted 2 information requests. The first concerned information about the district administration, years of employment and previous employment. Thank you for providing that information, it was very helpful. The second request was in reference to the Anago ICS Equity Survey and Audit, and per the summary review, which was presented to the staff, my understanding, on April 9th, 2019. The details of my request are as follows. Number 1, in reference to the Anago ICS Equity Survey and Audit, I was requesting a copy of the initial and any follow-up surveys completed by the staff. Number 2 was the accumulated results of the equity, staff interpretation of those surveys, the remedy plan as directed by the equity team. Number 3 was the total number of hours spent completing the survey, in-service participation, training and coaching, and all staff members involved pertaining to the ICS equity programming, ideology, including social, economic, emotional learning programs throughout this district. I received a copy of the audit, and I also received a copy of the district equity form. And from reading through that, it constitutes a description of our student population in terms of socioeconomics, disabilities, and race. Nowhere was there a description or any overview of a plan to impact and improve the problems the audit identified as obstacles to Anago's district success. As an occupational therapist for 35 years, working both in medical and educational settings, anytime a problem is identified, you develop a treatment plan and you implement the plan, and then you reassess to see how you were doing and make modifications. I am sure a plan was made up for this program considering all the data that's been collected. And that was not included at all. Number 3 of my request was completely ignored. And considering how much data that is provided by the staff, my understanding is there are data bullets provided every week by staff. I find myself thinking that this may be excluded intentionally. And Dr. Sprague, again, you are in violation of a federal law. A FOIA is a federal law. So consequently, in an effort to assist you, I'm recommending you contact your Director of Instruction, Amy Doms, request a list of all training days, the agendas and durations, the number of participants, and staff categories. By categories, I mean dates, whether they are teachers or support staff. I want the dates of these programs from the years 2018 to 19 through current. And I will be at Dorr Street on Thursday at 11 o'clock. If I do not have this information, I'm going to be calling the district attorney at 1 o'clock because I need this information. Thank you. I've added that addendum that I described to you, and this is my original FOIA.
Thank you, Mrs. Bardo. Okay, the next person we have on our list is Juliana Boutnick.
Alrighty, hi, thank you all for your time first and foremost. If you don't know who I am, my name is Juliana Boutnick. I'm a junior here at Antigo High School. And the reason I'm speaking with you today is regarding the 2022-2023 schedule. My understanding is that it's been voted on twice here, and in the last vote it was in a dead tie. Now, this decision is being made for the betterment of the students, and I believe that if this decision is for those reasons, it should involve some student feedback. Now, with this being superimposed on us, I have spoken with many of my peers, and from the ones I've spoken to, none of us are happy about it. With this, I'd like to provide you some feedback. To start, we all know that the current proposal is spending 17 minutes in school for 17 additional minutes, 4 days a week in school, with a 60-minute release on Wednesdays. Now, if the goal was to put any more educational time into the school day, and I spoke with the superintendent, Dr. Sprague, today, and she said that the addition for those 17 minutes is to make the classes not seem so rushed. However, when you take out that 60 minutes from Wednesday, it's only adding 2 minutes additionally to each day, which even 2 minutes to each class doesn't accomplish much in most of my classes from a student perspective. Only 2 minutes a day is not going to impact much. Now, one thing that you're probably going to question is, why is anyone complaining about an early release? Here's why. Students are going to be frustrated if they're a part of the majority that cannot leave. Let's say if they're underclassmen whose parents are unable to come pick them up, and there was discussion of an inner-city bus route that buses people at 2:20. However, this excludes all of the rural kids who might not be able to have their parents come pick them up until 3:20. So they're going to be stuck here at the school doing activities which, from a student perspective, many of them will not take seriously and will just be frustrated and take it out on the support staff. Additionally, the support staff and the school resource officer must still be required to miss the meeting and sit here and babysit high schoolers because while you would expect us to be mature, some of us are not. Additionally, those who are in athletics and those with sports who have teachers as coaches, those teachers are going to be stuck in those staff meetings. And even if you have additional coaches, it's still not the same without your entire team there. Now, with the extension, one of the main issues with that regarding the students specifically is that the younger siblings are released earlier. And so if they're requiring their other sibling, their older sibling who attends AHS to go pick them up, they're going to be stuck waiting at the school. Now, this isn't affecting only students, it's affecting the community, specifically businesses. In high school, many of us are part of the workforce, and in my opinion, some of the most dependable and yet the cheapest workforce in Antigo. So many businesses who employ high school students who are not a part of the co-op program have their schedules set up around 3:03 p.m. release times. Asking an independent organization to alter this simply because the high school is changing their schedule is likely not going to work for most employers, so they're either going to cut the high school students' hours or fire them altogether. As you know, college is not cheap, and we need money, so us losing our jobs is definitely not worth it for this schedule. Additionally, we are a huge farming community, and many farmers need a certain amount of daylight to work, and farmers are some of the places that young workers can get jobs first. So by cutting this out, it's going to cause some issues. Additionally, by bringing all of the buses here, there are currently 8 buses that come to the high school. And this is the only school that students need to drive from because we're the only age range that can drive. I will tell you, speaking from experience, it is incredibly hard to get out of the parking lot on time before the buses leave the way it is. Now with this proposed 3:20 end time, students may need to get changed for work, and now they can't even run home to change, so that eliminates that. But if you say that they're gonna change at school for work or freshen up, try to get to your vehicle after changing. You're going to be stuck behind the buses. 22 buses is hard to overcome, and now you are going to be speeding to work, which will likely cause more accidents. So in conclusion, COVID has caused enough change for us as students, and I can speak for every single person that attends this school. We finally had a consistent schedule where we could rely on it, and now it's getting changed. And I understand that the only thing in life that's constant is change. However, we don't see this as a necessary change. And we don't feel that the schedule is broken, so we don't see the need to fix it. I understand that there are reasons on the back end, but I want you to understand that we are urging you to reconsider and at least try and put the student feedback into your decision. Thank you very much. Also, pretty much everything I just said is in this letter. There are copies for all 9 board members, and there's extras in case anybody else wants one. Thank you.
Juliana, can you pass those, give them to Trina, and she can pass them around? First, let me say thank you so much, Juliana, for standing up there. It takes a lot of courage. Takes a lot of guts, I'll just put it that way, to stand up before the board and to speak the way that you did on behalf of the student body and all those that you've talked to. So thank you very much, Juliana, for doing that. What a courageous person you are.
Mr. President, I'd like to remind you, I voted in the negative of the adoption of the motion on the May 10th meeting that stated, I move that the 2022-2023 school calendar reflect that Wednesdays would remain full school days and eliminate the 1-hour early dismissal. The district would then have 4 quarterly in-service days on October 28th, 2022, December 12th, 2022, February 20th, 2023, and May 1, 2023. And I would like to reconsider this motion.
Okay, to reconsider the motion, actually, it will require a second. Is there a second to reconsider this motion?
I'll second.
Though it isn't posted?
Yes.
So we're doing this without having it on the agenda?
No, it's not going to be voted on. It's reconsidered. Reconsidered for this meeting?
Sorry, reconsidered for our next committee meeting, which will be on June 14th, correct?
Thank you, Jill, for adding that because it could not be reconsidered for this meeting.
Correct, sorry, thank you.
So the motion or the item that's on the floor is for us to reconsider the motion that was made on May the 10th. And Jill voted in the negative of that motion, and the motion failed on May the 10th. And in talking with our attorney, Mr. Dean Dietrich, he advised me that this is in the right of the member to bring this back for reconsideration. A person that voted in the affirmative could not bring a motion back because the motion failed. If a motion passes, then a person that is in the affirmative can bring the motion back. So I do have a motion to reconsider this to the Committee of the Whole meeting on June, Mary Kay, is that the 14th? Motion to reconsider this item back to the Committee of the Whole on June the 14th. And who was the second?
Trina.
Trina? Okay. Trina made the second. So we can discuss this, and it is open for debate. If anybody would like to say anything, any board member would like to say anything about this.
Would you just read that motion back again, Mary Kay?
The motion from last.
No, the motion that Jill just made.
It's the same motion from May 10th.
She's reconsidering the motion that was made.
Motion to reconsider.
Yeah.
Okay.
anybody have any questions, any comments?
I shared feedback at the previous meeting, and I did vote in the negative at that time. Concerns I shared were the survey that was initially sent did not provide a lot of information as to the why behind it or the impacts. And then concerns that were verbalized so eloquently tonight by Ms. Boutnick. And I think it's fair that we haven't discussed or considered the impact on students as well. I've continued to receive a lot of feedback opposing the schedule change. I think there's opportunity that can be beneficial for staff with the schedule change, though it's very unclear on what that will look like and the logistics, and I think it's reasonable to reconsider.
Trina, you seconded the motion, so I'll give you an opportunity.
Yeah, so, over and over again, when you have conversations with young people, you tell them, if you don't like what happened, you need to go in front of the people who made the decision, whether that's a senator, assemblyman, school board, whatnot. Typically, the response is, I'm not going to do that, nothing's going to change. So if we have a young person who put the legwork in, came in front of us, had that conversation, we need to reconsider it, in my opinion, because that's something what we tell them to do all the time. That's the process, and if they're putting that to work, that's the right thing to do, I guess. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Anybody else have anything to say?
I totally agree with what Trina just said.
I just
Julie, go ahead.
want to say, Ms. Boutnick, that was so well prepared. I'm very proud of you. That takes a lot of courage to do. You put in a lot of legwork. You did a lot of talking and research. That's apparent. And I'm very proud of you. So thank you for your efforts in that and for being a voice for many.
On that note, I also want to say I caught where you said that the youth in our city is, what did you say, the cheapest labor? It is the cheapest labor. But I want to add to that, you're also valuable. You may think that you're cheap labor, but you're also very valuable.
So it is noteworthy that when we met today, Juliana shared a lot of concerns about the additional, I gave my sheet away, 17 minutes on a school day that we added prior to this Wednesday discussion. Many reasons for that. One was the fast turnaround that it felt, especially for lab classes with the 42 minutes. So my question is the board reconsidering that as well?
No, if I understand the motion, it would be reconsidering just what the Wednesdays only. Yes,
The calendar.
just the calendar. Correct?
Correct.
Yes, Angie.
I just want to ask, you mentioned that you met with, well, you both mentioned that you guys met Juliana and Julie today. Was it that Anna reached out to you, Julie, to set up the appointment, or how did that come about?
I talked with Mrs. Maddock. Juliana had spoken with Mrs. Maddock, and then I contacted her to see if she'd like to meet.
Okay, so you reached out to Juliana? Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions, any other discussion? Okay, so you know that what you're voting upon is the motion to reconsider the motion that was made and failed on May the 10th. Mary Kay, could you read that motion one more time that was given on May the 10th? So that way all the members of the board know exactly what they're voting upon. This is a motion to reconsider. A yes means you want to reconsider. A no means you do not want to reconsider.
Let me get that motion from May 10th. Motion on May 10th was, I move that the 2022-23 school calendar reflect that Wednesdays would remain full school days and eliminate 1 hour early dismissal. The district would then have 4 quarterly in-service days of October 28th, 2022, December 12th, 2022, February 20th, 2023, and May 1st, 2023.
Okay, so that is the motion on the floor. Mary Kay, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote, please.
And this is to reconsider and have
To
it on the committee
reconsider
of the whole.
and have it on the committee of the whole, that motion. Yes means yes, we're going to reconsider this and put it back on the agenda for action item on the committee of the whole meeting of June the 14th. A no means you do not want this to be reconsidered. Does everybody understand that? Yes and no. Thank you.
Bartle,
Yes.
Borneman,
Yes.
Maddock Nelson,
Yes.
Matt Miller,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Schrader, Schrader,
JD, can you unmute your phone, please?
Why don't you just consider him a pass for right now?
and Pyatt.
Yes. Okay, we have one more person that signed up, Claire Heron. She's a familiar face.
Yeah, my name is Claire Heron, in case you don't know. I've been a kindergarten teacher here for the district for 32 years. So I wanted to speak to you tonight a little bit about the behavior issues that we see. I want to thank you for listening, and for my 32 years, I've been really lucky to have a job and a career that I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed being part of the district, but with that being said, the last several years, we've had a lot of behavior issues, a huge increase. And it's not just here. I read about it everywhere. So I was really glad to hear that you're looking into it deeper and asking the people who deal with it on a daily basis what they feel needs to be done. As a soon-to-be retiree, I'm not going to be on that committee, so I thought I'd come tonight and share a few thoughts. This is just my opinion, and it's from an elementary kindergarten perspective, so just kind of remember that. I watched the meeting a couple weeks ago, and when you first suggested a committee, I kind of rolled my eyes at home.
I'm sure.
Another committee, you know. But when I listened to you, and I felt you were really sincere about wanting to get to the, to the heart of the problem, or what we feel the heart of the problem is, or looking to the people who are in the trenches. So I really applaud you for digging deeper. You want to hear from the people who are close to the issue on how to deal with all of these behaviors. My hope is that you will really listen to what the committee comes up with. And that's actually the first thing that I think we need. Teachers really need to feel like they're being listened to by the board and the administration. That's just the first thing, though. The other thing I thought of right away was respect, but that wasn't really true the more I thought about it, because I've always felt respected as a teacher. I've felt respected by the board and by our administrators. As I thought of how to explain that, I realized what I really meant was trust. Teachers need to feel trusted to do the job that they're hired to do and that they want to do. Your job is to decide the curriculum. We have standards that we have to meet. We know what we have to teach. Let us teach it the way we feel we can best teach it from ourselves. We've been told for years that students need to learn in many different ways. We need to reach out to them. Teachers also teach in many different ways. And when we can do that on our own, I think that the kids respect that, and they feel more comfortable, they feel less stress, because we know what they need. And we can give it to them in the way they need, and that will, in itself, help reduce some of the behaviors. Teaching looks different from every teacher in every classroom. It looks different for each group of kids. It can look different year to year. It can look different day to day. In my classroom, it's changed every day this year, what I have to do to reach those kids. So trust the teachers with their education and their experience to know what works in their classroom. Just let the teachers teach. The biggest thing, the first thing I thought of when you asked what teachers need, we need more people. We need more people We need more hands, we need more eyes, we need more ideas and more strategies. The kids' needs and the behavior issues increase every year. Teachers and staff have had hours of PD and training. We have training on de-escalation techniques and how to help the children. We've had trauma-sensitive training. All that's great. It's important. I believe in it. It's not always feasible in the classroom. Classroom teachers are responsible for all the students in their class. We're responsible for all of their learning and, frankly, for their safety some days. It's physically impossible to stop teaching and go help one student de-escalate for 15 minutes, 10 minutes, even 5 minutes. You've lost the rest of the class, you've lost that lesson, and not a lot of learning takes place. I understand that research shows children need to be in class, even the ones that have behavior issues as well as the ones that have other issues. They can't learn if they're not in class. That's true, but to do that responsibly, we need more people. People to help handle the behaviors so teachers can continue teaching. I really feel strongly we need an aide in every kindergarten classroom. We need more aides throughout the buildings. Kids' needs are so high, we just need more people. We need more guidance counselors. We need a guidance counselor in every elementary school, every day, all day, not shared between buildings. How you accomplish all that, I'm not sure, because I know it costs money. And I know there's not even always people out there when you have the jobs available, people aren't applying. So that is a challenge. I had an aide, luckily, in my classroom about halfway through the year. Mr. Zamzow somehow found a way, and I had her in my classroom about 85% of the time for the second half of the year. The difference was huge. Imagine the learning that could have taken place if that person had been there right from the beginning. It would have been a game changer. So my challenge to you is to follow through on the committee you asked for, listen to their conclusions, accept their suggestions, and do whatever you can to help curb the behavior so we can get back to more learning. My challenge is that stack of books that's sitting on my shelf, and I get to decide which one to read first. So,
All right. Thank you, Ms. Herron, for that. And also, I want to mention, because there was some folks that were there at the Recognition Social last Wednesday, but a lot was not there. If you haven't published that poem, I hope that you get on it and get that out there. You did a great job. Thank you for your service here to the district. Okay, let me change gears, and now we're going to recognize our student representatives, but first of all, we're going to let her give a report, and then we have a little something for her.
Good evening. Before I start with my report, I would like to thank you all for the opportunity and allowing me to be a representative for you guys. So, now for my report. High school graduation is June 5th. May 25th is the senior awards ceremony. Friday, May 13th was Spring Fest. There were activities in the morning and the afternoon, and a virtual day was also an option. Anigo's Got Talent took place on May 13th in the Valm. The winners were Lexi Klusman and Brett Pubble. There was no school on May 30th. There was no school on May 2nd. The last day of school is June 8th and June 2nd for the seniors. Finals for the high school are on June 7th and 8th. Odd block day is June 7th. Even block day is June 8th. The 7th grade is coming for a visit and a tour on June 1st. The FFA greenhouse sale is Tuesday, May 24th and Thursday, May 26th from 3:15 to 5 o'clock in the greenhouse. The high school girls softball team made it to regionals, and I believe their second regional game was tonight. And Garrett Husnick won conference in the boys tennis team. And the AHS choir concert is on May 26th at 7 p.m. in the Vaughan Theater. Thank you.
Thank you, Meredith, for that. Anybody have any questions for her? I would just want to add to that, because you probably was not aware of this, the band had their fundraiser last Saturday. Somebody help me. Abby? Was it last Saturday? No. Saturday before, the 14th. Anyway, some of you have been asking how much did the band raise for their trip to Pasadena, California. In that one night, they raised over $22,000 for that trip going to Pasadena, California. And total in the Band Booster account, what they have is over $53,000 in the band booster account for the trip to Pasadena, California. So the band has been working very hard, and they're going to look sharp out there with those new uniforms. Let me come around there.
Yeah, that was yours.
I know it.
I got it.
Mr. Pyatt is walking around. They also had the president of the Tournament of Roses come today and speak to the band members that are going, and she did a phenomenal job, and the kids were asking her a ton of questions. So it is a larger parade than I would even imagine. 5.5 miles, and it costs millions of dollars to get that together, and they're pretty excited about being a part of it. Good, great, great. So, Meredith, if you'll come up here, the Unified School District of Antigo Board of Education recognizes Meredith Milo for participation as Board of Education student representative. We want to give this to you and thank you very much for your time that you have served the board and the school. All right, and a couple other students that we want to recognize tonight. First of all is our Salutatorian. There he is. I thought I saw him come in. Come on down. So Aaron Converse is our Salutatorian for the senior class this year. Everybody give him a hand. He's done a great job. So Aaron, we want to present to you from the board, Salutatorian presented to Aaron Converse in recognition of distinguished scholastic achievement while a student at Antigo High School on this day today. Thank you, Aaron, for all of your hard work. And I'll just stay over here so I don't kick my water over again. Abigail Newman, if you will come down. Abigail Newman is our valedictorian for this year's senior class. Abigail, this says valedictorian presented to Abigail Newman in recognition of distinguished scholastic achievement while a student at Antigo High School. Thank you very much for all of your hard work. I look forward to hearing your speech. Yes, she is an awesome flute player, piccolo player. She's just a great student. And we do have a certificate for Torrance, but she's not here tonight. Is she with softball, or I don't know where she's at, but yeah. So thank you so much for all of your hard work, not just in your senior year, but this started way back when you were kindergartners. So thank you so much for all of your hard work. We all look forward to seeing you and hearing those speeches coming up soon. And having said that, board members, if you are planning on attending, please contact Mrs. Krivishine at the high school to let her know that you're on your way and you'll be there. Moving right along to consent agenda. Letter A, approval of agenda, minutes, and financial reports. I'll be looking for a motion.
I move the board approve the agenda minutes from April 26, 2022, Board of Education meeting, minutes from May 2nd, 2022, Board of Education special meeting expulsions, financial reports for April 2022, consideration of current bills, checks number 5790 through check number 5864 in the amount of $353,762.31. ACH's number 21220985 through 2122011106 in the amount of $811,843.72, and one wire transfer in the amount of $27,411.65 for a total of $1,193,017.68.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the agenda and minutes and financial reports. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Mary Kay, roll call, please.
Borneman,
Yes.
Maddock Nelson,
Yes.
Matt Miller,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Schrader. Can you unmute, you left, okay. Bardo,
I'll abstain on check number 5835 and vote yes on the remainder.
and Pyatt.
Yes. All in favor, the motion carries. Number 4, new business. Approve the committee of the whole minutes from May 10, 2022. I'll be looking for a motion.
I move the board approve the minutes from the May 10th, 2022 Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes from the committee of the whole meeting, May the 10th, 2022, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Then it's carried. Item B, Board Development Workshop. This is on there for information, just to let the board know and the public know that Thursday, May the 26th, at 6 p.m. in the middle school IMC, the board will be meeting with WASB consultants Cheryl Stinsky and Patty Vickman. The workshop will entail a brief overview of strengths and opportunities for growth from the annual board development survey that was taken earlier this year. Not an item for voting, that is just an item for information. Letter number C is Attorney Dean Dietrich workshop. The workshop is scheduled for Thursday, June the 23rd at 6 o'clock in the Antigo High School Media Tech Room. I'm kind of picking up on one of the things that former President Mike Boldig did when I first came on the board. He made an invite to Dean Dietrich. He is our school board attorney. He came over and did a very great presentation on board conduct, parliamentary procedures, answered a lot of questions at that meeting that he came over. The meeting is open to the public. It's not a closed session, and he will discuss and dialogue back and forth with the board that night. It'll be roughly an hour to hour and a half, however long Mr. Dietrich wants to carry out the meeting for that discussion. And that will be Thursday, June the 23rd at 6 p.m. right here in this room. And this is the night we gave Dean a couple of days to choose, and this is what worked best for him. So I just want to remind all the board members, please put that down. If you have questions and you want to submit those questions earlier, you can send those questions to me, and I'll be glad to send those on over to Dean so he can have those questions. But he will be open for Q&A at the meeting. Okay, any questions about that?
I
Trina?
just want to clarify, the board development workshop is at the middle school, but this meeting then will be at the high school.
Thank you for that clarification. The board development this Thursday is at the middle school IMC. This meeting with our school board attorney is in this very room, the Media Tech Room, on June the 23rd. Okay, moving on to number 5, board action. Consider, letter A, consideration to approve Scotchman Ironworker quote. Looking for a motion.
I move the board approve the quote from Machine Tool and Equipment for Scotchman Ironworker in the amount of $43,026.30.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions? Hearing no questions, Mary Kay, roll call vote, please.
Maddock Nelson,
Yes.
Matt Miller,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Schrader,
He's trying.
Bardo,
Yes.
Borneman,
Yes.
Pyatt.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number, letter B, consideration to approve wheel balancer quote. Looking for a motion.
I move the board approve the quote for the Snap-on wheel balancer in the amount of $30,023.72.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Mary Kay, roll call vote, please.
Matt Miller,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Shriver,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Bardo,
Yes.
Borneman,
Yes.
Medic Nelson,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes. Motion carries. Item D, consideration to approve the purchase of a high school food merchandiser. I'm looking for a quote, or not a quote, a motion. We have the quotes.
I move the board approve the quote from for the a combi oven steamer in the amount of $24,867.
Second.
Sorry, motion's been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion?
Yeah, so I might not be reading this right. But on the top of the first page, it says that the pricing is only good until 12 p.m. at May 31st. Are we able to make the purchase that fast, Tim?
So I did talk to Sarah DeBoer earlier today, and we'd go ahead and cut a purchase order tomorrow morning, so we can get it in certainly in that time frame. Yeah.
Any other questions, discussion? Mary Kay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mary,
Yes.
Shriver,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Bardo,
Yes.
Borneman,
Yes.
Medic Nelson,
Yes.
Matt Miller,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes. Motion carries. Moving on to letter E, consideration to authorize supply purchases for the 2022.
I think we missed one.
Did
I missed the combination of
I am
them
so
for C.
sorry.
So let's go back to C.
I'm looking at the wrong lens here. My apologies. Letter C, consideration to approve the purchase of a middle school combination oven. Looking for a motion.
Mr. Pyatt.
Yes, ma'am.
The motion was made for the combi oven the last time, so we're back to the
Okay,
merchandise.
let me clarify what just took place. I read the wrong item, they read the right motion, so now we're on the same track, okay? We're on letter D,
Yes.
right? Consideration to approve the purchase of a high school food merchandiser.
I move the board approve the quote from Stretch for open display merchandiser in the amount of $13,969.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Mary Kay, roll call vote, please.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Bardo,
Yes.
Borneman,
Yes.
Medic Nelson,
Yes.
Matt Miller,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Sprague, for getting me back on track. Letter E, correct? Consideration to authorize supply purchases for the 2022-2023 school year. I'll be looking for a motion.
I move the board authorize administration to begin purchasing supplies for the 2022-2023 school year not to exceed $150,000.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Tim, how's this compare to what we were able to do last year?
I looked back last year, we approved 200, I think up to 250,000. We didn't come near that in the month of June. I'm going to ask you next month to approve a preliminary budget, so this is really just a gap month gap before the preliminary budget gets approved, so we'll be okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing no questions or discussion, Mary Kay, roll call vote, please.
Schrader,
Yes.
Bartle,
Yes.
Borneman,
Yes.
Maddock Nelson,
Yes.
Matt Miller,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes. Motion carries. Item F, consideration to approve 4K partner agreement with All Saints Catholic School. I'll be looking for a motion.
I move the board approve the 4K partnership agreement with All Saints Catholic School as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Mary Kay, roll call vote, please.
Bartle,
Yes.
Borneman,
Yes.
Maddock Nelson,
Yes.
Matt Miller,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
and Hyatt.
Yes. And the motion carries. Item G, consideration to approve district administrator's evaluation timeline. Okay, we discussed last meeting, May the 10th, that we were going to continue with the current evaluation for this year. And then if we wanted to change for the next evaluation, which Dr. Sprague's contract discussion will come up in January to be online with where we have, but before January the 31st. So we're going to do her evaluation for this year, and I'd like to do that the next meeting, at the Cal meeting.
Remember, I emailed you, could it be at the June board meeting?
Yes, you
Also-
did. Thank you. Number 2 tonight. So we will have the evaluations discussion of Dr. Sprague at the June board meeting at the end of June. Do you have that date, Mary Kay?
28th.
The 28th. We'll have the discussion on the 28th, and then at that discussion is when we will look at if we want to keep that evaluation the way that you have, the way that we've done it, or do we want to change it and do differently? Do we want to make it more tailored to Dr. Sprague's job description that's in board policy, or do you like what we have? So you go through this evaluation, then at the 28th of June meeting, in that closed session, we will discuss what that next evaluation will look like. Anybody have any questions about that?
Hey, did we originally get this from WASB, our template?
I did not understand you.
He's asking if the template that we're using now, if we got that originally from WASB. And
I thought we got that template from taking a couple samples from other
There were
schools.
several districts.
I think we've changed this. We had one that we used from WASB. I think we had one that came from the Superintendent's Association. And this is a blend of those.
Correct, it's
Right.
based on board members' feedback and my feedback. The version you see uploaded here, the first one is the, like Andy said, the compilation of what board members in the past have elected to do. So what we'll do is send that to you ahead of time, so that we have the results, everything in before June 28th.
The only difference for the evaluation, Dr. Sprague, is the results of that evaluation is not going to be coming to Dorr Street. The results of the evaluation, I believe, should come to Kristen as the clerk of the board and myself, and she and I will compile those numbers and compile what is written. And then that night of June the 28th is when we will reveal all of the results in closed session.
Mr. President, in the past, I believe we have gotten to see those results a day or two in advance, so we could just review it before that night.
I don't recall receiving those in advance of the meeting. I only recall receiving them the night of the meeting.
We would upload them.
Yeah.
But it was obviously not in public. It
It'd be
just
private.
It was only for board members, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have a problem with that. That's a good plan, because then we can come with,
I'd like to see them so
well,
that I am.
well, I'm sorry, Dr. Sprague, but when I get my evaluation done at my job, I don't see my evaluation till I'm sitting in front of my supervisor.
That's good for them,
Yeah.
but I would say that if there's things that come up on the evaluation, either one of these evaluations, that Dr. Sprague should know what it is, so she's giving us an informed reply. If somebody's questioning that they don't feel she's doing a good job in some certain area, I'm sure there's some data that she might want to bring to present to us.
I would love to have that in my job too, but I don't, unfortunately.
Well,
I don't
you
think
can work it out with the people that do your evaluation, but right here, we're trying to work it out here for her.
Okay, then let's put this to a vote as to what the board would like to do.
And I'm not saying she should see this, well, I would say a couple days in advance would be good.
I guess I agree with Andy. We don't gain much by surprise. Might as well let her think about it. Everybody gets surprised by things like that.
If I could, I would never want an evaluator to blindside a teacher either. If they're headed for a plan of improvement or they have negative reviews, that conversation starts at the onset and continues so that they can address those things. To show up with a completed evaluation and tell the teacher, sorry, you're not cutting it, is, that goes against everything in education. But
So Andy, would you like to put that into the form of a motion?
I will if we don't have consensus.
It won't be consensus, it will be a vote, it'll be a voice vote.
Okay. I'll make a motion that once the evaluation is compiled, that both the board and Dr. Sprague receive the results of that evaluation approximately 2 days in advance of the meeting. I'll cut that approximately.
Yeah, I was going to say if you would, 2 days in advance. Did you get that, Mary Kay?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion that is on the floor?
Do we have to ask Justin, however you set up a Google Sheet survey? Because last year, as soon as you filled it out, you could see the other people's responses. So I don't know if you're gonna have to avoid that on purpose.
That's a Dustin question, I think.
Yeah.
We shouldn't see what other people do. We should see the compilation.
Well, it's in the past it was you obviously couldn't see who put what, but you could see all the results, like the individual scores that were given. So the question is there a way that you can't see the results until the 2 days? Yeah, that would be possible. Are we still planning on using that same Google form for this?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so the answer is yes, we could make it so that you could not see the results until 2 days prior.
I have a question, sorry. So last year, they could see the results after, like if I submitted my evaluation, then I could see the other results right away?
Yes, I believe it was immediately after, yep.
Okay.
I think our feed.
last year, I also provided evidence ahead of time. Is that something I should do again? evidence by my call. I mean, you'll bring your own, but I submitted what I would consider evidence for some items.
Certainly for the meeting, we want that.
Okay, not ahead of time. Okay.
I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, I guess if it's something, more than a short paragraph, we'd like to see it ahead of time. I would like to see it ahead of time.
Mary Kay, read the motion, please.
The motion was, once the evaluation is compiled, both the board and Dr. Sprague receive results of the evaluation 2 days in advance.
Okay, thank you.
I have another request. When you're compiling, I think when people are writing comments, I don't want to see who wrote the comment.
But you want to see the comment.
I want to see the comment, and I want to see the score that goes with it. Because last year, there were people rated some ones, and at the top here it says, if you score a 1, please indicate the evidence for your score on the lines provided. But there was no comments that you could match up with those ones, at least that I could see. And so I'd just like to see if somebody says she's doing a great job, I want to see if they gave her a 4 or a 3. If they're doing a terrible job, I want to see if that was a 1 or a 2.
Dustin, that can be done?
Well, is this coming to Dustin, or is it coming to you, Danny and Kristen?
Will it be coming to Kristen and I? But we can forward it to Dustin and let him do all the fine putting the data into the system in order for it to be brought out to the board.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Dustin, can you tell us how that works? Does it automatically fill out a Google Sheet for you?
JD,
When you fill in a
JD,
Google survey?
JD, can you hold 1 minute, please? Somebody else had the floor. Go ahead, Andrew.
so my thought is, like when I've had reviews in the past, I didn't, like you said, I did not know what the results were before going in. But then I worked with my supervisor, manager, whatever, based on that review and created, they gave me guidance as, what I was doing good, what I was, needed to work on, and how to work on that. And so I didn't need to know ahead of time, because I feel like that, it's not my job to come in and I guess try to argue my case, I guess, with my employer. So that's just my opinion, so I don't agree with it.
Okay. JD, go ahead.
I just didn't know when a Google survey happens, so you can give you and Kristen and Dustin access, so he can compile it. Does a Google survey automatically fill in an Excel spreadsheet, or you and Kristen gonna have to figure that out? I just don't want it to be too messy. I see you're trying to keep the process transparent by getting yourself. Kristen, do you know how to do that? I don't.
Yes.
Take a piece of paper and put it in, but I couldn't do it on the computer, no.
Yeah, so what'll happen is I'll send Kristen and Danny the form so that only they have access to it at the time, to see the responses. And then once the responses are compiled and they're ready to send it over to me, they can just share it with me and I can let you know the instructions on how to do that, like the technical instructions. And yeah, basically the Google form automatically puts the responses into a Google spreadsheet, so they don't have to worry about any of that.
JD, does that answer your question? I'm looking up like he's somewhere up there.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you and Kristen felt comfortable doing that since you guys were taking on the work.
Okay.
Thanks, JD.
Thank you. Any other questions, discussion?
I would just like to say, that I think Dr. Sprague should get this a day or two in advance, because we talk a lot about transparency, and I want her to be as open with us as we're trying to be with her. And so I want her to be able to, you know, if she has to dig out some data to answer somebody's concern, I want that.
So I don't know if this is relevant or not, but when I get my review, I do have to provide evidence ahead of time. I have to go through and come up with all of the things that I did to meet my goals and to meet the different parts of my review. I have the EE process that the teachers do in my job, so it's a very similar kind of thing, and that's something that I've always had to do is present evidence, like this is how I can prove to you that this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. So I don't know if that's relevant because that's, you know, something that our teaching staff also has to do, and in education it's a little more expected that you're going to have to provide some sort of evidence because people can't always observe what you're doing with students or with staff members because some of that stuff is confidential, right? So just kind of, I guess, informationally, since other people have talked about their reviews, for my review I do have to provide evidence before I even talk to my supervisor. These are the goals that I made and this is the evidence that I tried. Maybe I didn't meet them, but hey, this is what I tried and this is where we're at. And then we sit down and have that conversation. So I don't know if that's helpful to the board or not.
So, sorry, are you suggesting that maybe we should have that ahead of time? Like,
I think it's
Juliet
fair. I
mentioned-
mean, if we're all going to fill out the survey ahead of time, it's not like we're going to go back in and change our answers. So I think it's fair that Dr. Sprague would see it ahead of time and that if she would want to provide, I mean, you have the evaluation already, so you already know what we're looking at. So if you have something where you're like, hey, you might not know this happened this year, but I want you to know that, I think it's okay to do those things because a lot happens in a year and I very well could have missed something that I didn't know happened. And if I do that, I want to make sure that's a fair, right? It's like I'm going in this thinking, I want to be fair to everybody, so I'm not going to change things after I fill it out, but we're going to have a good, well-rounded discussion that would be, I don't know, open and honest, I feel like, if we had all that. And it's just the expectation in general in education, and I know that that's kind of a touchy subject, but I don't know, if that's a standard we hold our teachers to, maybe that's something that we'd want to hold everybody to, but I don't, that's probably a different conversation.
I think your feedback's very helpful. I was not aware that that's I apologize for not knowing, but I was not aware that's common practice. In my experience in talking with others, generally your eval results come at the time of the evaluation. So that's just the practice that I'm accustomed to and familiar with, so I appreciate your feedback.
You might not get your results, but you would provided like your evidence. So like you have to do your goals at the beginning of the year, and then depending on your district and what's all going on, you would get feedback at the middle of the year, sometimes not, depends on how it all shakes out. And then at the end of the year, you usually have that, and then you provide, this is what I did to meet those goals. And granted, the superintendent evaluation looks different, but just food for thought.
So you're saying that, so evidence would be provided, we would fill, go based on our knowledge and evidence provided, we would fill out the evaluation and then present the results to her then. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying we're all gonna fill it out and we get it the 2 days ahead, the way that the motion is stated right now, I believe.
Okay.
And that Dr. Sprague would be able to say herself, these are how ways that I met these different essential functions or parts of the evaluation. Is that, maybe I'm not being really clear about it either.
You are.
Okay.
I think we're ready.
I think you had said, Mr. President, that results would be provided ahead in the discussion before the motion was made. So I'm just trying to differentiate the motion from the discussion prior to that motion coming in.
The motion is to let the board, all 9 of us, plus Dr. Sprague, receive the evidence 2 days before we have the meeting.
Yeah.
So we have the meeting on Tuesday. The motion would state by Sunday, right, that everybody would receive, including Dr. Sprague. That's the way the motion reads, right, Andy? I just want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I should amend my motion to have that by Friday, so she's got all weekend to work on something.
It's your motion. You can make an amendment to your motion. You can't change it because it belongs to the floor right now.
Okay, I think I'd amend that motion to have that compiled and to, I just want to change the date from 2 days to the Friday before the meeting at 12 p.m.
Let's put a date in there. That would be the 24th, June 24. That's the Friday before. Okay, so now there's a motion on the floor to amend the main motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Now discussion is solely on changing the date from 2 days before to Friday, June the 24th. Any discussion on changing the date from 2 days to Friday, the 24th, for that information to be, deadline to be in? No?
No, I would just say that's good for me. I like to read board docs on the weekend sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, hearing no discussion on changing the date, Mary Kay, let's do a roll call.
Borneman,
Yes.
Maddock Nelson,
No.
Matt Miller,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Schreiber,
No.
Schrader,
Yes.
Bardo,
Yes.
Hyatt,
No. Okay, so the motion carries that the date has been changed, that all the information, evaluations will be in by noon. That is your 12 o'clock, correct?
Correct, but they'll be compiled and given to us.
Compiled and given to us by noon on Friday, June the 24th. That is now the motion. The motion is that all the evaluations will be compiled and distributed to all 9 board members and Dr. Sprague by noon on Friday, June the 24th.
I would just like to state that, yes, in most of our areas that we work, that we get our results of our evaluation at that time the evaluation is given, but also nothing in that evaluation is a surprise. And if it is, that is a reflection of your management, not you. So just something to consider.
Any other discussion? Hearing no discussion, Mary Kay will do a roll call vote, and we are voting on the evaluations being in and delivered to all 9 board members and to Dr. Sprague by noon on June the 24th, 2022, correct?
Maddock Nelson,
No.
Matt Miller,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Schreiber,
No.
Schrader,
Yes.
Bardo,
Yes.
Borneman,
Yes.
Hyatt,
No. I didn't keep track. I think it passed, right, Mary Kay?
yes, it did.
And the motion passed. So we will have the district evaluations turned in, all compiled together, and delivered to you through email by noon on June the 24th, 2022. Moving on to letter H.
Danny, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When would you like our portion of that to be submitted in to you and Kristen?
Dustin, what's a reasonable time to compile by the Monday prior to?
Oh, yeah.
Kristen, you feel comfortable with Monday? Monday, June the 20th, they need to be to Kristen and I. Monday, June the 20th. And then we'll get everything compiled up before the 22nd, Dustin, and we'll send it to you on the 22nd. Fair? If you'll make note of that to make sure we stay on task.
When are they going to be released, the questions be released to you?
They're going to come to us by June the 20th.
I think she means when
When
Oh.
released to me,
To
like
everyone.
June 2nd, maybe?
we can release them tomorrow because the evaluation's done. We're just doing the same thing. We're not changing anything in the evaluation, so they have between tomorrow and June the 20th to fill it out. Got it? Can you release them tomorrow? You're good. That way you got plenty of time, and Mary Kay will send out reminders to all of us as we go along. Okay, moving on to letter H, appointment of independent hearing officer for grievance. I'll be looking for a motion.
I move the board direct the superintendent to schedule a closed session hearing with Ed Reed as the independent hearing officer as proposed by our school district attorney, Dean Dietrich.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I have something. So I just want to say that I believe it was mentioned that Ed Reed was the HR director for Wood County. However, he was the former HR director for the Wood County Health Department, which there is a difference between being HR director for county department and the county as a whole. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. So I personally, I think that we should actually interview him beforehand, just to get a sense of where, you know, kind of his experience and background and stuff like that.
I would agree with that if our administration was picking that person.
Mhm.
However, this person is being independently chosen by our school board attorney. Am I correct? Mr. Dean Dietrich has the one that picked this person for this purpose.
I understand.
Yeah.
Mhm. I still think that we should interview him.
He was open to an interview, wasn't he?
Yes. Yep. It won't hurt anything.
When is,
Based on this motion, the next step would have been for my to schedule that hearing. I'd actually like to consult with Dean Dietrich just to make sure, since that isn't in our board policy, that word interview is used. So I should read that first, but just to make sure he's endorses that or writes the questions.
I believe in the notice that was included in board docs, it said that. Yes, our attorney does say at the very bottom of the memo, it says Mr. Reed is also willing to be interviewed by the school board if deemed necessary. So that tells me that he would be fine with that.
okay, any other comments on Mr. Reed coming to be interviewed by the school board?
I guess, I don't know how clear I am. I guess I have faith in Dean Dietrich to hire someone decent, so I personally don't feel the need to interview him. I think he was up to be the president of the state bar this year, and he's one of the best ethics attorneys in the state, so I guess I have faith in him.
Was Dean up to be the president of the state bar this year, JD?
Yes.
He is the
president.
He is the
I didn't know
president.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anybody else have any comments? We're commenting on Mr. Reed also willing to be interviewed by the school board if deemed necessary. Would anybody be, I would entertain a motion if that's what you would like to do, Angie, to move that the school board interview Mr. Reed before proceeding.
Yes, I would make.
Mr. President, there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, there is.
Thank you. Thank you. So,
What is the motion that's on the floor?
the motion that's on the floor is to move the board direct the superintendent to schedule a closed session hearing with Ed Reed as an independent hearing officer as proposed by our school district attorney, Dean Dietrich. You can amend that motion. So if you would like to amend, you can state your amendment to that motion.
Okay, I would like to amend that motion to state that the board would interview Mr. Reed first. And then our superintendent could schedule after that interview and board approval.
Okay, we can't strike the entire motion. That's not germane to,
Okay.
to Robert's Rules of
I'm trying to
Order.
think how to word that.
But you can have, potentially at the end of this, you can say upon completing an interview with the school board,
Yes.
or before.
Well, upon completing the interview, superintendent would schedule the hearing. Or is that still striking?
And it's best if you think of just adding words to the
Mhm.
motion that's
Right.
out there.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so it, Mr. Pyatt said there would be good, except maybe she wants to add upon approval of the board.
Yes.
Okay.
Following an interview.
Upon approval of the board following an interview with Mr. Reed.
Yes.
There we go.
So the motion would then read what Angie is moving. I move the board direct the superintendent to schedule a closed session hearing with Ed Reed as the independent hearing officer as proposed by our school district attorney, Dean Reed.
Dean Dietrich.
I'm sorry. Dean Dietrich. Mr. Vice President, help me with what you just said.
Upon completion of an interview of the board and approval.
Thank you, Kristen.
That's why she's the clerk.
So
I'll
there's-
second it.
There's a motion and second to amend the motion. Now all discussion will be geared toward the amendment. Any discussion? And what we just added to the end was the statement that Kristen just said.
Upon completion of an interview with the board and approval.
Thank you. Upon completion,
I fully trust Dean Dietrich's opinion, but at the same time, I think we as a board should meet the guy. None of us know him, and hear what he has to say to us, and then make a decision if we want him to be this person that's the independent hearing officer. So I will be voting yes on both.
I trust Dean Dietrich also, and I trust him so much, I don't see a point in dragging this process out further than it already is.
Dr. Sprague, when would this interview with Mr. Reed take place? Would it be at our next Committee of the Whole meeting?
I actually feel we're somewhat at the mercy of his schedule. If he could make it, certainly we could schedule any time that the board's available.
Do we have a timeline to get the whole grievance process completed by? Or are we under any time constraints with that?
I reread that too to make sure, and again, the next step would be scheduling the hearing. I think based on when that hearing is scheduled, then the timeline kicks back in, but right now we're okay.
So, I guess I would like to meet this gentleman, and if I have questions, I'd like to have a chance to ask that, because if he's going to be representing us in a grievance hearing, I want to have my full faith in that person and their ability to handle that in what I would feel is the correct manner. And in order to do that, I would need to meet them first. I mean, maybe Andy knows this gentleman from before, I don't know, but I don't. And in order to be able to feel comfortable with whatever decision he comes up with and be able to answer people's questions and be able to justify that, I would like to know who he is.
So upon passing of this motion, Mary Kay, can you get or Dr. Sprague in touch with Mr. Reed and find out dates that he would be available and poll the board to see when we would be available? If it's not the committee of the whole, obviously the committee of the whole date would be ideal because we're here and it's already a meeting date.
Are you
that fair?
thinking in public meeting?
No, it would be a closed session.
So he could possibly like do a meet or, something online, technology-wise, if he can't be here in person.
Dustin, we can do a Zoom with Mr. Reed in closed session on that night? Okay. You're saying yes to a lot of things tonight.
So my question is, if we, shouldn't we be interviewing more than one person if we feel the need to interview and we don't want to take Dean's recommendation? Then I think we ought to be interviewing multiple people.
That's a thought.
Did I misunderstand the grievance policy that after this step, they are still in disagreement that it comes to us at that point?
That is correct.
So they're not making the sole decision on our behalf because it would come to us
Correct.
after that. Just
Yeah.
want to make sure I was clear on that. Okay.
But they would be coming to us with a recommendation.
Do they come with a recommendation to us, or is it this merely a step that they just come and say, we did not reach an agreement?
There would be a recommendation from the independent hearing officer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or like an informal ruling, I should say, rather than recommendation.
And I just want to say that if we decide to go with interviewing, more than one person, I'm fine with that, but, we could also utilize a Zoom meeting so that way we could get everybody, we wouldn't have to drag it out. Because, I don't want to drag this out any more than what it needs to be either. But I also think we should feel confident when who we have doing this as well.
Mary Kay will also need to clarify if this is legal for us to go into closed session just to interview somebody for a grievance process. I'm not sure that that is a statute to go into closed session. It might be open meeting.
We can check.
Thank you. All right, any other discussion? So we are voting upon the motion that's in front of you with the amendment.
Danny, can I ask you one more question? This person doesn't decide, do they, the board makes the final vote, they just run the hearing?
It would be the board would not be at the hearing, and only if the employee chooses to continue the grievance after the hearing officer's judgment, if you will, then would the board hear from the employee.
Does everybody understand that process as well? Okay, so the motion on the floor is I move the board, what's printed in front of you plus what was added from Angie. A yes?
No. We're just voting on her amendment.
Yeah, the amendment, to add the verbiage that Angie wants to add to the amendment. And then we'll go back to that will then become the main motion if this passes.
Can you read that to us, Mackie, please?
I'm glad.
Once the evaluation is completed, let me see, is that it?
No.
That's a different one.
Yep.
I move the board direct the superintendent to schedule a closed session hearing with Ed Reed as the independent hearing officer as proposed by our school district attorney, Dean Dietrich, and upon completing an interview with the school board and with approval.
Yes.
So that is the amended motion that you're voting on?
No, we are not. We did not amend this yet. We can vote on the amendment.
We are voting on the amendment that was brought in.
The amendment,
Yes.
yes, not the amended motion.
Yes. Yes, we are voting on the amendment that was made by Ms. Angie Schreiber.
So we're just voting on that wording.
Yes, Mr. Member, we know exactly what we're voting on, what was added in.
Apparently-
Thank you. Mary Kay, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Mary,
No.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Bardo,
Yes.
Borneman,
No.
Maddox Nelson,
Yes.
Matt Miller,
No.
Hyatt,
Yes.
Schrader,
No.
4-4.
4-4, the motion fails. So now we are back to the main motion, which is I move the board direct the superintendent to schedule a closed session hearing with Ed Reed as the independent hearing officer as proposed by our school district attorney, Dean Dietrich. Any other discussion? Mary Kay will do a roll call vote, please.
Schreiber,
No.
Schrader,
Yes.
Bardo,
Yes.
Borneman,
Yes.
Maddox Nelson,
Yes.
Matt Miller,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes. And the motion carries. Letter I, report of employment resignations and retirements.
I move the board accept the resignations of Christine Drager, food service, Ryan Gerhart's middle school counselor, Bethany Gerhart's middle school art teacher, Ashley Martino, North Elementary second grade teacher, and Susan Wirtz, Title I teacher.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded on the report of employee resignations and retirements. All in favor of accepting those resignations and retirements, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. Thank you for all of the hard work from those that have retired and the resignations. Letter J, report of district new hires. Looking for a motion.
I move the board approve the following new hires. April Kolpak, third grade, North Elementary. Kaylee Buchholz, fifth grade. Jeffrey Demlo, middle school special education. Hannah Romanesco, English. James Matthews, middle school, high school tech ed. Chris Harris, STEAM. And Patty Meyer, middle school administrative assistant.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for the new hires.
Is there discussion on this?
Yes, any discussion?
Okay. I just have, I guess, a couple of questions. So the total number of teachers and, staff that have either resigned or retired this year alone from January 1st, 2022 to current is 30, from the numbers I see. I know that we do exit surveys by a third party. We don't do exit interviews. We do exit surveys, and those surveys then get sent to Julie. I'm wondering, is there a common reason people are giving for leaving the district in such large numbers? That's my first question. Have you seen a?
I haven't seen any from this, like you said, from January, any exit surveys. Usually Melanie Ryan sends the list and then that third party contacts them directly. So I don't have any new ones, but I always update the board when we do get those results.
So the 30 people that have left the district since January 1st, none of them have completed an exit
I'd
survey?
have to check with.
Melanie is back
Oh,
there.
you are.
Melanie, you want to come up and join us just for a moment at the microphone, please?
Yeah, so anybody who has resigned prior or retired prior to the end of the school year should have been sent one. Or I sent their name to.
David Hamelman.
Thank you. But anybody at the end of the school year, I'll wait until the end of the school year to notify him of them. So we haven't received all of them.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you send the names to David, and then they reach out to David, David reaches out to them?
I send an email to the staff member notifying them that David Hamelman will be calling them for an exit interview, and we'd really like them to participate. And then I provide David with a phone number, a name,
Okay, then David lets you know if somebody calls, or how does?
calls them.
He calls them, but then if he gets a response, how does that process work?
He supplies them.
He just automatically sends that to us, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so my second,
Sure.
go ahead, but do you say, have something?
No, I was saying go ahead.
Okay. So my second question was, in regards to Chris Harris. I see that he has a $4,000 sign-on bonus. I'm wondering, first of all, why has only, this is the first time I've seen any kind of sign-on bonus coming through, offered to anyone. And my second part of that is, this type of extra expense for hiring bonuses, was that ever brought in front of the board for approval?
So it may be the first one that you have seen, but we've done this for the last several years, actually. The board has seen sign-on bonuses. It's a method that we use when we have trouble being competitive with their current salary. So they're our preferred candidate. We want them to leave wherever they are, join us. But if we matched or beat their salary, then anyone with that like position, it recently happened. A teacher turned us down. We didn't feel we could comfortably meet what she is currently making because her colleagues in that department who have worked for us for a long time would be making approximately $6,000 to $8,000 less. That's a terrible message to send to those people who've been here for their whole careers. So our next tactic then is a sign-on bonus, one-time money that doesn't accrue each year on salary, but sometimes that's enough of a draw to have the person make the jump.
So then if they are offered a sign-on bonus, is there any type of time, like a contract saying you have to work for us for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years?
We haven't done that in the past, no.
Okay. I think that would probably be a good idea.
So, sometimes too, Tim, come up and explain that liquidated damages that sometimes this covers for them leaving another school to come here.
Danny, if I could first address this particular position. So this position has been open for at least 1 full year. I don't know the number of applicants. Melanie might know that. But it's been a position that's been hard to fill. It's a position that we're filling with ESSER money. So from an applicant standpoint, the sign-on bonus is a way to make it look more attractive to them. You know, that's strictly what we're doing for a difficult to fill position. In relationship to the liquidated damages, if a teacher, after signing by June 15th, if they've signed an offer of intent, their contract to teach in Antigo, and between June 15th and the start of the school year, they are assessed a $2,500 liquidated damages penalty for breaking that contract. And that holds true throughout the school year. So any point during that contract, it gets broken, they're assessed that damage.
Okay.
Okay.
I have one other question, if I may, of Tim. So this is being paid through the ESSER money, so what will happen in 2 years when we no longer have ESSER funds? We're already short on the upcoming budget.
Yeah, and I think that will be a decision for the administration as they're building the budget to make recommendations on, you know, we will have staff attrition from now till then, and then they'll have to prioritize which positions we fit into the general fund.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about the motion that's on the floor to approve the new district hires? No questions. Mary Kay, roll call vote, please.
Schrader?
Yes.
Bardo?
Yes.
Borneman?
Yes.
Maddock Nelson?
Yes.
Matt Miller?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Schreiber?
Yes.
Hyatt?
Yes. Okay, moving on to letter K, report of donations. Looking for a motion, please.
I move the board approve the following donations. $200 from the Center for Dairy Excellence Foundation of Pennsylvania for the North Elementary Farm Field Trip Grant. $380 from Anago Bow Club for AHS Band Rose Bowl Trip. $240 from All Sauced Up for AHS Band Rose Bowl Trip. $200 from VOM Bag Companies for AHS Softball. $500 from Sandra Waltzer for AHS Softball. $100 from Elsa and John McKenna for AHS Band Rose Bowl Trip. $500 from Anago Tater Trot for elementary track and field. $1,000 from Brady Cross for West Elementary student T-shirts. $30,000 from Anonymous in memory of Reverend Omar Kelly for Environmental Education Center at Neboken. Interior finishing. $200 from Diane Lodge for AHS Band Rose Bowl Trip, and $100 from Rebecca Frisch for Environmental Education Center at Neboken, for a total of $30,420.
33,000.
You said 30?
33,420.
You're looking through the wrong.
$420.
You're like me looking through
Second.
the wrong lens, right? Motion's been made to accept the report of the donations, seconded. All in favor of receiving these donations, with many thanks to our wonderful donors of this community, such a giving community. Let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Then it's carried. Thank you so very much. And I know Tim sends out thank you notes to all the donors that give to the school district. Item 6 is the next meeting is Monday, June 27th.
It is not.
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday,
The next meeting is Tuesday, June the 28th, 2022, 7 p.m. in the Anago High School Media Tech Room. 6 p.m. Next meeting Monday, Tuesday, June 28th, 2022. Thank you.
6.
At 6 p.m. in the Anago High School Media Tech Room. All right, everybody's got that written down?
So we only have one meeting in the month of June?
No, this is the board meeting.
Board
Our
meeting.
committee of the whole meeting is June the 14th.
Okay, gotcha. Right.
Tuesday, June the 14th, right here.
And then, sorry, my other question is, I thought we weren't moving the meetings at 7 o'clock on Mondays until July.
July, yeah. It's at 6 p.m.
Oh.
That's a misprint in the agenda.
Oh,
The next meeting will be Tuesday, June 28th. Okay, motion to adjourn.
I so move.
So move, second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You can help Dustin turn the lights off.